It just happened, and nobody saw it coming this fast. Trump's biggest mistake in the entire trade war just exploded on the global stage. And the craziest part? China saw it coming from miles away. While Trump was throwing threats like confetti, Beijing stayed quiet, patient, calculated, and dangerously effective. Now, America's closest allies, Canada, Europe, Japan, are furious. The G7 is fracturing, and the entire world is watching Trump's strategy collapse in real time. What exactly went wrong? Let's break it down. Just days ago, Trump was boasting that tariffs on Chinese goods would be raised to 55%. A massive flex. The US was supposed to be in control. But when both sides were expected to sit down and finalize a critical trade deal, China abruptly pulled back. No explanation. No drama. Just quiet rejection. Scott Bessant, one of the insiders closest to the talks, said bluntly, Beijing doesn't take any of this seriously anymore. Let that sink in. China is no longer even pretending to play along. So, what did the US do next? Quietly postponed the meeting. Delayed the tariffs. Walked it back. Because deep down, they know, without China, they can't hold this together. Instead of recalibrating or strengthening alliances, Trump did the unthinkable. He turned around and slapped Canada with a brutal 35% tariff. Then hit Switzerland with 39%. Even Taiwan, America's most important microchip partner, got hit with a 20% penalty. Wait, what? He's punishing allies while sparing rivals. Where's the strategy? Where's the logic? This isn't a trade policy anymore, it's chaos in motion. And the damage? Oh, it's real. Prices are already rising. American companies are reeling. Small businesses are barely breathing. Allies are walking away. And China? China is watching, calm, quiet, deadly. So the question now is, who's really in control? The truth is terrifying. Over the past few weeks, the US has torched the fragile system that held global trade together. The tariffs are back, and they are hitting hard. But here's the catch, America's allies are suffering the most. Europe just got hit with a 15% tariff under what Trump called a reset for fair trade. But if this is fair, why are EU leaders calling it an act of betrayal? Why is there outrage in every European capital? And Canada? They are being slammed with 35% tariffs, with no negotiations, no compromise, not even a fake explanation. The official US excuse: fentanyl smuggling. Seriously? That's the reason for disrupting billions in trade with your closest neighbor. Even the American press isn't buying it. It's just a pretext. And while Washington points fingers, Canadian exporters are collapsing. Panic is spreading across the forestry, dairy, and auto sectors. Small companies are losing contracts overnight. This isn't collateral damage, this is deliberate economic warfare against America's own allies. And all while China says, nothing. No press conference. No tweet storm. Just silence. Strategic, piercing silence. Because China doesn't need to make noise. It just needs to wait. And now we are seeing the consequences. China secured a 90-day delay on new tariffs. Without threats. Without drama. Just calm negotiation. Meanwhile, Canada is begging for a European-style exemption and getting ignored. That tells you everything about who holds power now. But why does China have so much leverage? It's not just about cheap goods. China is the backbone of the American consumer economy. In 2024 alone, more than 16% of all US imports came from China: smartphones, medicine, clothing, you name it. Take those away and American shelves would go empty in weeks. And it's not just Walmart. It's every major retailer. Especially in lower-income communities where price sensitivity is everything. But China's real weapon: rare earth metals. Critical for EVs. For fighter jets. For medical technology. For smartphones. China controls 70% of global rare earth output. And they've already hinted they can turn off the tap. Remember what happened in 2010? When China cut off rare earths to Japan, the entire tech sector froze. If Beijing pulls that move again on the US, we are not talking trade wars anymore. We are talking economic paralysis. And that's not all. China is dumping US debt, fast. In 2024 alone, over $100 billion in US government bonds were offloaded by Beijing. That's a direct hit to Washington. Because when big players walk away from US debt, interest rates skyrocket. Loans become more expensive. For governments, for homeowners, for businesses. Trump knows this. Every bond sale is a warning shot. Push us, and we'll hit your dollar. And they already did. In June 2025, the Fed had to step in after China's bond dump caused yields to spike and the Dow to plunge 600 points in one day. That's not a trade war anymore, it's a financial firefight. And then there's India. Once a cautious ally, India is now buying more oil from Russia than ever, despite US threats. Over 34% of its oil in 2025 came from Moscow. The US warned of sanctions. Military cooperation on the line. But India didn't blink. They ran the numbers. And made their choice. Energy security over political games. And you know who's cheering in the background? China. China's trade with Russia is booming. So is its oil relationship with Iran. And while Washington talks about sanctions, Chinese tankers are calmly docking in Iranian ports, week after week. And there's another shift you might have missed. The rise of the yuan. China is replacing the US dollar in more global transactions. Quietly. Steadily. And it's working. Countries burned by US policy are turning to alternatives. They want out. They want stability. Because let's be honest, the US is no longer acting like a reliable leader. Trump's moves are isolating America, not strengthening it. The G7 doesn't look like a team anymore. It looks like chaos. Canada. Hit with 35% tariffs. Switzerland. 39%. Taiwan. 20%. Thailand. 19%. There's no pattern. No consistency. Just punishment. And the message. Loyalty doesn't matter. The US expects allies to fund its debt, follow its rules, and absorb its tariffs, and still call it partnership. So what's happening now? The world is shifting. Fast. BRICS is on the rise. Not because they are perfect, but because they offer something the US has lost, predictability. India, Brazil, China, South Africa, Indonesia, they are becoming new trade hubs. While the US turns trade into a weapon, BRICS opens doors. China is winning not by being aggressive, but by being consistent. It's building partnerships across Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America. And now, as America isolates itself, China is becoming the center of a new global order. And it's not just abroad. The mess is right at home too. Trump's customs policies are turning trade into a nightmare. Tariffs appear and vanish like magic tricks. One day it's 20%, the next it's 40%, and no one knows what changed. A small business in Ohio tries to export machinery and gets slammed with a fine because the shipment used the wrong route. What does that even mean? Even US companies don't understand the rules anymore. And the result? Confidence is collapsing. Exporters are pulling out. Foreign companies are fleeing. The US is becoming the world's most unpredictable trade partner. Not because of external pressure, but because of self-inflicted wounds. This isn't leadership. It's self-sabotage. So the question now is this. Can the US correct course before it's too late? Or will it keep spiraling, punishing allies, empowering rivals, and eroding its own economic credibility? Because one thing is clear, the world is watching. And the US is standing on the edge. If you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. Do you think Trump's trade war is protecting American interests? Or is it tearing down everything the US built over decades? Drop your thoughts in the comments, let's talk about it. And if you want more in-depth breakdowns like this, with real analysis, not just noise, hit that like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The global economy is shifting fast, and you won't want to miss what comes next. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp.